Could a swarm of homemade drones, each costing barely $2,000, destroy an entire North Korean weapons convoy worth tens of millions? On August 21, 2025, that question was answered in fire and smoke across the Donetsk sky, a quiet road near Novodivka. 62 North Korean trucks rolled in a steel ribbon stretching 2 miles long. Each vehicle carried missiles, shells, and more than 480 armed soldiers. Cargo worth over $18 million. Confident the route was clear, no mines, no UAVs, no ambushes, they pressed forward toward the Russian front. Their headlights cut through the darkness, engines humming in formation. Armored escorts followed strict tactical spacing, 100 meters apart, designed to minimize losses in case of an attack. Ahead, 4 reconnaissance vehicles swept the road with infrared sensors, scanning 2 kilometers ahead. Every 30 seconds, the radio reported the same calm words. Nothing unusual, but in war, silence is never safe. Above, at 3,200 feet, a Ukrainian recon drone hovered quietly. Built from carbon tubing and plywood wings, it looked primitive. But beneath it, a high-resolution infrared camera streamed live footage to a command center 40 kilometers away. On the bunker's screen, every North Korean truck was tagged, numbered, and assigned priority. The order came in a low voice. Target 62, ammunition truck. Priority 1. Outside, 200 improvised attack drones stood ready for launch. Each one, a Frankenstein of lawn-mower engines, PVC pipes, and a block of explosives, crude but deadly. When the order was given, the swarm was unleashed. Engines roared across the fields. The night air filled with the buzzing of hundreds of propellers, an artificial storm rising from the earth. Below, the convoy rolled on, unaware of the doom approaching from above. At first, the soldiers thought it was insects. Then the horizon trembled. Contact! Multiple UAVs incoming! Within seconds, the sky erupted. 6-barrel Gatling guns spun up, spitting thousands of tracer rounds. 70 drones were shredded instantly, their burning wrecks raining down onto the fields. Cheers went up. Too soon. From the east, another 130 drones came screaming in, diving low, weaving, overloading radar systems. The anti-aircraft fire blazed again, but this time it wasn't enough. Over 100 drones broke through, skimming just above the ground, darting between trucks like a swarm of steel hornets. The first explosion ripped through the convoy. An ammunition truck detonated, unleashing a fireball 50 meters high. 2 nearby jeeps vanished in flames. Then a fuel truck was hit. 2,500 gallons of diesel turned 300 meters of highway into a burning inferno. No one had time to run. Explosions, gunfire, screams, chaos consumed everything. Machine gun crews fought desperately, shooting down drone after drone, but they couldn't hold. The lead vehicle was torn apart. Within 6 minutes, 42 trucks were destroyed. Over 280 North Korean soldiers were dead. The Ukrainian drone above captured everything, each explosion, each wave of fire, streaming it live back to the command center. When the Gatlings finally ran dry, the second wave descended. 80 drones circled, hunting survivors. One slammed into a rocket launcher, detonating the payload and leveling the area. Another struck an armored vehicle, the explosion launching its turret 10 meters into the air. By the time the firestorm ended, 360 soldiers were gone. Radio calls for help faded into static. 2 remaining gun trucks fought to the end, downing 14 drones before being swallowed by twin fireballs. When the smoke cleared, the Donetsk plains were silent, covered in ash, twisted steel, and burnt earth. But beneath that silence was something more. The death of an era. This wasn't just an ambush. It was a battle between 2 centuries of warfare. On one side, North Korea's armored columns built on the doctrines of the past. On the other, Ukraine's ingenuity, cheap, flexible, improvised drones born in garages and workshops. Each UAV, nicknamed Steel Hornet, cost just $1,900, built from lawnmower engines, carbon tubes, plywood wings, GoPro cameras, and 10 kilograms of explosives. The entire operation cost under $400,000, the price of a single Western artillery shell. With that small sum, Ukraine had orchestrated one of the most devastating ambushes in modern history. In just 14 minutes and 37 seconds, the entire convoy was annihilated. 62 vehicles turned to molten wrecks, 80 soldiers gone. Ukraine lost only 143 drones, with 57 returning intact. The ratio was staggering. $1 spent for 46 destroyed. A new age of warfare had dawned. No longer did power belong to those with the biggest machines, but to those with the fastest minds. The battlefield had changed forever. Ukraine's true weapon wasn't hardware, it was strategy. They didn't need F-16s or Patriots. They needed creativity and the will to survive. Each drone acted like part of a living swarm. The first wave drew enemy fire, the second identified targets, and the third delivered precise strikes using real-time GPS sharing. Against 200 simultaneous attackers, no defense system could cope. While Russia and North Korea still clung to 20th century doctrines, tanks, artillery, and rigid formations, Ukraine had already stepped into the warfare of the future, where software beats steel. As dawn broke over the scorched plains, a faint radio crackled to life. We survived. We have won. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes. The sky fell silent again, but somewhere in the wind, the steel hornets still hummed, a metallic prayer rising to the heavens, declaring that the light of freedom had not gone out. September 6, 2025. Heavy fog blanketed the skies over Ukraine. In a hidden outpost near a rock, 10 small drones, each weighing just 1.5 pounds, were prepared for a new mission. Their target, Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, Europe's largest, and a symbol of Russia's energy control. The Russians saw the plant as untouchable, guarded by thousands of troops, S-400 systems, Pantsir batteries, and electronic shields. They were wrong. Ukraine's 47th Drone Brigade was tasked with the impossible: breach the fortress and destroy the $50 million training center, the plant's command hub. The plan was daring. Instead of flying over radar fields, an underwater drone, the Marichka AUV, carried the strike drones beneath the Dnipro River, invisible to sensors. Special forces already inside occupied territory used handheld jammers to open a narrow corridor through the Russian electronic net. At 5 a.m., the Marichka surfaced. 10 drones launched into the fog. 2 flew high as decoys, and the S-400s took the bait, firing 2 multi-million-dollar missiles. Meanwhile, the remaining 8 slipped low, unseen, radar signatures smaller than birds. Russia's electronic grid jammed the airwaves, but the Ukrainian drones switched frequencies thousands of times per second, guided by AI vision and terrain mapping. They didn't need GPS. They could read road signs to navigate. 4 were shot down, then 5, then 6, but 1 drone survived. It dove straight into the plant's blind zone, too close for Russians to fire without risking the reactors. The operator saw the air vent on his monitor, a target barely the size of a pizza box. He guided the drone inside. Moments later, it vanished from radar. Russian commanders sighed in relief, unaware the strike had already entered their walls. Deep within the ventilation shafts, the drone crawled forward, navigating by preloaded blueprints. Then on detonation, no fireball, no roar. Just a silent burst of plasma that vaporized servers and cut the power grid. The $50 million command center was 80% destroyed in seconds. Russia said nothing. How could they explain that a $400 drone had defeated a $1 billion defense? The attack crippled their ability to train new reactor engineers, setting them back 18 months and $60 million. Ukraine had hit not a target, but a nerve. It was a checkmate on the energy chessboard. A reminder that the wars of this century aren't won by power, but by precision. Like Stuxnet in 2010 or Pearl Harbor in 1941, this strike changed everything. Only this time there were no explosions, no ships, no thunder. Just a wisp of smoke and the quiet victory of intellect over might. The world took notice. Analysts called it a turning point. Proof that the future of warfare lies not in armies, but in ideas. And now the question remains: was this the triumph of human innovation, or the beginning of a dangerous new era? The answer perhaps depends on who builds the next swarm.